Right, 10 minutes before 9 here on this, what day are we on? Tuesday. It's true. I had to think about that for a second. Okay, so the ITU Telecom World 2018 kicked off yesterday with an opening address by President Cyril Ramaphosa. The conference has, for the first time, come to African shores. Let's cross to the iNkosi Luthuli International Convention Center in Durban. Our SABC senior producer, Siphumelele Zondi, is there. He, of course, is the host of the show Network, and he's been following this for us very closely, and we can find out what to expect. So, good morning to you, Siphumelele. Let's talk about this whole move to 5G, and I know that that's going to be a big talking point as well as a lot more. Talk us through it.
All right, well, thank you very much, Lee. And yes, 5G has been one of the major talking points right here at ITU Telecom World taking place in Durban. There are other issues, though, that have been discussed. Digital migration of television is one of them. And with me to unpack that a little bit more and talk about other issues, especially issues in competition when it comes to the broadcasting space, is Sentech CEO Mlamli Boy. Hello, and thank you very much for joining me, sir, this morning.
Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Let's start with that issue of digital migration first. A lot of people are worried about Spectrum not being available to continue broadcasting on analog. How are we doing there? Are you worried as Sentech?
Well, we're not worried, but we're concerned about the delay because it is costing the country quite a lot of money to run two networks. Sentech is operating as a main signal distributor, and we have to run two networks, the analog and the digital networks. That means that we have to speed up the process of freeing this spectrum so that we can switch off our analog network and move fully into digital. I think there are some good progress that has been made by the Department of Communications in partnership with DTPS, who is our department that we report to. We have established the whole network nationally, and we have begun the process of switching off analog. We've switched off in the Northern Cape, and the Department of Communications is planning to switch off in the Free State province in December. But the targets, we're not sure if the targets of next year are going to be hit for the whole country. It does not look likely that it will, because it is a function of availability of set-top boxes on the field for all the consumers to have the digital receivers. It's critical for us to be able to switch off our analog network.
Mr. Boy, South Africa has missed a lot of deadlines. There are countries on the African continent that are far way ahead of South Africa. Leanne spoke briefly about 5G networks and 5G technologies. They're starting to be introduced in the rest of the world next year. That spectrum is needed for that, is it not?
Well, the 5G spectrum has not been fully defined as yet, but there are three bands which have been clearly developed by the OEMs. The first one is the 28 gigahertz band, and the other people are doing their trials on 3.5 gigahertz band. Those two bands are not the bands that we're currently broadcasting on, which means that 5G will not necessarily be delayed by the delay in digital migration. South Africa has done trials. I think about 3 companies have launched trials. I will not mention their names, but we are actually testing this technology. It's a platform that will change the way we do things. It will change the way we connect it into the future, and it will be the technology that will drive the fourth industrial revolution.
And again, when we're talking about broadcasting, there's now stiff competition, and not from traditional broadcasters. It's coming from players in the online space. How are you diversifying to make sure that going into the future, you're not only focused on traditional broadcasting or the way we've always watched television?
Thank you. That's an interesting question. We as Sentech have recognized the move by the industry, by the world, to move into the delivery of content using online services. Although we've been comfortable in delivering content using wired solutions like your terrestrial broadcasting, but what has happened recently is that we have established a platform within Sentech which will offer to our customers, SABC, ETV, and others included, which will be an OTT platform that will allow you to do streaming and then be able to provide online services. So that is the project that we're working on now. So we cannot be left behind in terms of the technology. for delivering content to our viewers. And this is what we're offering to our customers. Next year, you will see a big shift in terms of our diversification of platforms.
All right, sure. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, but thank you very much for joining us this morning, Mr. Mlamli.
Thanks very much.
All right, Mlamli Boy, there is the CEO of Centec, telling us that they are diversifying, they are trying to keep up with new players in the broadcasting space, which are not traditional players in television. They actually are online players, and they're also launching their own platforms. It's back to you, Leanne, in the studio.